Hello everyone, I hope you are having a good day. So this section we are going to talk about the surface area. Definition: area of the surface of revolution. Let f be a non-negative function with a continuous first derivative on the interval a to b. The area of the surface generated when the graph of f on the interval a to b is revolved above the x-axis is S is equal to the integral from a to b 2 pi f of x times the integral of 1 plus f prime of x squared dx. And if the curve x is equal to gy on the interval cd is revolved about the y-axis, the area of the surface generated is S is equal to the integral of c to d 2 pi gy times square root of 1 plus g prime of y squared dy. So, we already know 2 pi times this is what the length, right? So this is the surface area formula. So let's go ahead and start. So the graph of f of x is equal to 2 square root of x on the interval 1 to 3 is revolve about the x-axis. What is the surface area generated? So about the x-axis, right? So the graph of 2 square root of x is something like this, right? From 1 to 3. So if this is 3, trying to sketch, so again we are looking for the surface area. So this is the surface area we are looking for, okay? Revolve about the x-axis. So first let's find f prime of x. F prime of x is x to the power of negative 1/2, right? Which is continuous on the interval 1 to 3 is continuous. Or, x to the power of negative 1/2 is same thing as and 1 divided by square root of x, right? So you see it's continuous on 1 to 3. Then to find the surface area, S will be equal to the integral from 1 to 3, 2 pi times f of x times square root of square root of x, times 1 plus square root of 1 plus f prime of x square dx, which in our case will be 1 to 3, 2 pi to square root of x times square root of 1 plus 1 over square root of x dx. You know, 2 pi times 2, that's 4 pi, that's can go out. So I will have 4 pi, the integral 1 to 3. And this square root of x, you know, it's just like x to the power of 1/2 times 1 plus 1 divided by square root of x squared. Right? So we are going to simplify this one. Once I take the 4 pi, you know, it will left square root of x times square root of 1 plus 1 divided by square root of x. So if I distribute, this will give me 4 pi integral 1 to 3 x times 1 plus 1 divided by, oh my bad, you know, I forgot to square this. There will be no square roots because f prime of x squared, so this will be just x, right? This will be just x. Once you square 1 divided by square root of x, it will just be 1 divided by x. So dx, then this will give us 4 pi, the integral 1 to 3 square root of x plus 1 dx. So again, to find this integration, we can use the u substitution again. Just said u is x plus 1, then du will just be dx, right? And when x is 1, then u will be what? U will be 2. When x is 3, u will be 4, and that's it. And then you just integrate 4 pi, the integral 1 to 3 square root of u, 2 to 4, not 1 to 3 anymore, 2 to 4 square root of u du. And then you will see the answer will be 16 pi over 3, 4 minus square root of 2. That's it. Let's move to the next one. So the curve surface of the funnel is generated by revolving the graph of y is equal to f of x, which is x cubed plus 1 divided by 12x on the interval 1 to about the x-axis. Approximate what volume of paint is needed to cover the outside of the funnel with a layer of paint 0.05 centimeter thick. Assume x and y are measured in centimeters. So my x and y are measured in centimeters. Respond to this one, we will just find the surface area and multiply by 0.05 centimeter, right? So to do so, first thing we have to find f prime of x. My f prime of x would be 3x squared minus 1 divided by 12x squared. So my s, which is the integral from a to b, right? So from 2 pi times f of x times square root of 1 plus f prime of x square dx will just be 2 pi times x cubed plus 1 divided by 12x times square root of, or let me erase this one, I will put it back down, okay? Because this space is small. Okay. So which will be equal to, I can take 2 pi out, right? Because 2 pi is a constant. 2 pi, the integral from 1 to 2, our f of x is x cubed plus 1 over 12x times square root of 1 plus 3x squared minus 1 divided by 12x squared to the square dx, right? So let's expand this one. I don't want to write too much. That's your algebra. You need to always know your algebra, okay? Most of the time, things will simplify themselves if you do really good. So I'm going to expand this one. 3x squared minus 1 over 12x squared to the square. I'm going to expand that and add to 1 and see what I will get, okay? So I will get this one, right? Plus 9x squared minus 1/2 plus sorry, I said 9x squared is 9x to the power of 4 minus 1/2 plus 1 divided by 144 x to the power of 4 dx. So if I simplify this one, do you see 1 minus 1/2 will be 1? So it will be plus 1, right? Which is what? So basically, by knowing my algebra, this integral would be x cubed plus 1 over 12x times square root of 3x squared plus 1 divided by 12x squared to the square dx, okay? This is what it will give me. And then now, square and square root will cancel out. So I will be left with, again, this is algebra. I'm telling you, do not think it's too much. 2 pi 1 to 2, integral from 1 to 2, x cubed plus 1 divided by 12x times 3x squared plus 1 divided by 12x squared dx. Okay. So I will let you do the rest. Okay. You have to distribute. You will distribute. Once you distribute these two parentheses and then you find the integral, you will see the surface area will be 12,289 divided by 192 pi. So that's the surface area, right? And then we are looking for the volume. So now because the paint layer is what? They said the paint layer is 0.05 centimeter. So the paint layer is 0.05 centimeter. Thick. So the volume of paint needed is approximately my S we find is 12,289 pi divided by 192 times 0.05 centimeter. Then use your calculator, pause and use your calculator, which will give us approximately 10.1 centimeter cube because it's the volume, right? That's it. So now let's move to the last example that we have. Example, consider the function y is equal to ln of x plus square root of x squared minus 1 divided by 2 on the interval 5, on the interval 5, 4, 0, and 17 divided by 8, ln of 2 is revolve about the y-axis. Sorry, I believe this is supposed to be between the points. These are 2 points, not interval anymore, okay? The interval is 1. So between the 2 points, okay? So again, so this is revolve about the y-axis. So first thing we need to solve in terms of x, y. So first we solve for x in terms of y. So again, we have what? Y is equal to ln square root of x plus square root of x squared, ln of x plus square root of x squared minus 1 divided by 2. We will, to get x by itself, we have to apply the exponential. So e to the power of y will be equal to e to the power of ln of this one. But the rule of ln and e, they are inverse of each other. So e to the power of y will just be x plus square root of x squared minus 1 divided by 2, right? So which means 2e to the power of y will be equal to x plus square root of x squared minus 1, right? So I'm going to get rid of my square root. So in that case, this is 2e to the power of y, so we minus x both sides. So I know 2e to the power of y minus x will be equal to square root of x squared minus 1. So if I square both sides, and then square this side, I'm doing this y to get rid of the square root because the goal is to isolate x. So you can see square and square root will cancel on this side, but this side will be what? 4e to the power of 2y, right? Minus 4e x, sorry, 4x minus 4x e to the power of y plus x squared is equal to x squared minus 1. The goal is to get x by itself. So of course, this x squared and this x squared will cancel out. If I do minus x squared, right? So any term that is not multiplied by x, we need to move that to one side, and the term that is multiplied by x on the other side. So basically, I will get 4xy or 4y, 4e to the power of 2y will be equal to plus 1. Sorry, let me redo this one. So we have negative 1 in this side. So I will minus this on both sides. So I will left negative 4x e to the power of y would be equal to 4e to the power of 2y negative because we move it minus 1. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4e to the power of y. So x will be equal to negative 4e to the power of 2y divided by negative 4e to the power of y minus 1 divided by negative 4e to the power of y. So again, all of this is algebra. Don't say this too much. This will simplify it with just left e to the power of y plus 1 over 4 e to the power of negative y. So this will be my gy. So my gy will be e to the power of y plus 1 over 4 e to the power of negative y. Now that we have gy, we can go ahead and find g prime of y, right? We can go ahead and find g prime of y. G prime of y will be what? E to the power of y minus 1 over 4 e to the power of negative y. On which interval? Because it's in term of y, so the interval will be what? 0 to ln of 2. Right? And we can see that is continuous on that interval. So it's continuous. It is continuous. So that is my area of integration. So now my S would be equal to, don't forget, is what? C to D 2 pi G of y times square root of 1 plus G prime of y square times dy. So in our case, it will be from 0 to 2, 0 to 0 to ln of 2. I'm going to take my 2 pi out, okay? G of y is e to the power of y plus 1 over 4 e to the power of negative y, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Times square root of 1 plus e to the power of y minus 1 over 4 e to the power of negative y squared dy. Again, practice make it perfect. By now, you should know. I don't need to write too much. Of course, the term under the radical, if I expand it and combine like term, it would give me a perfect square. And what will be the perfect square? It will just be e to the power of y plus 1 over 4 e to the power of negative y square dy. Square and square root will cancel out. So I will be left with 2 pi, the integral from 0 to ln of 2 e to the power of y plus 1 over 4 e to the power of negative y times e to the power of y plus 1 over 4 e to the power of negative y dy. Right? And of course, we can distribute this one, or it will be 1 of this one to the square. But if you distribute again, combine like terms, which I'm about to do, e to the power of y times e to the power of y is, but if I multiply e to the power of y times e to the power of negative y, that will become 1. 1 times 1 over 4 will be 1 over 4, right? And if I multiply this to this also, that will give me 1 over 4. 1 over 4 plus 1 over 4 will give me 1 half. Then 1 over 4 times 1 over 4 is 1 over 16. E to the power of negative y times e to the power of negative y will be e to the power of negative 2y. Right? Finding the integral of exponential, natural exponential is not something difficult. So by doing so, we'll see this one will give me 2 pi. The entire derivative of this one is 1 half e to the power of 2y plus 1 half y minus 1 over 32e to the power of from 0 to ln of 2. If I substitute everything, use your calculator to combine like terms, you would see we get pi 195 divided by 64 plus ln of 2. That's it for this section. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.